10, 9.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio.
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto, on this June 8th, 2020 evening. And Chris, I don't know if things are improving up in Maine, although I hear there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, but everything's opening up here in Florida. I'm enthusiastic, but at the same time, a little reticent about what might happen or be the repercussions of all this opening.
Everything except the buffet that you love.
Yeah. I don't think I heard they'll never open it again, right? Did you tell me that?
Well, they'll never open it again, but they'll. You know what, Dave? If the coronavirus is 110,000 people dead, if it goes to 300, nobody will ever close the game. I'm serious. They won't, because if we close the game, we just might as well pull the plug on. Yeah,
society.
Yeah. Like
we could turn the Golden Corral into like a Gold's Gym. Golden Corral. We can make it a Gold's Gym.
Where you can like train all day.
Good location, good parking over there. We could have like.
What was the buffet in LA? What was the first buffet you ever went to in Los Angeles? It used to be up on Washington, I think.
Yeah, you know what? I did go to that, but I think that the bodybuilders back in the day used to call it, they used to go to the Smorgasbord, right? And then they used to get kicked out.
What was the name of it?
I didn't go to that one. I don't know. Where was that? I don't even know.
They banned bodybuilders. It was on Washington.
Who told us about that?
Billy Smith used to go up there all the time.
Who did?
Billy Smith, remember? He was on.
Yeah. I think Jimmy Quinn told us about
Jimmy
that.
Quinn, yeah.
Right. That they got kicked out of there a few times. I think Rick Drayson used to go there a lot. He used to tell me about that place. I think that was open all the way back in Arnold's day, was it? Maybe.
There was that one, and then there was kind of like a chain one.
How did they get? Remember, it was called the Smorgasbord. That they used to call the buffets the Smorgasbords, which is, I believe, is what, a Danish expression or something like that, or
sounds like it.
The Smorgasbord. I just remember my Jewish grandmother saying that we're going to the Smorgasbord today. We're going to go get some Chinese food.
One price to eat all you can. Be great for Serge Nubret. 1 meal a day.
Yeah.
$10.
Oh my God.
Are there any?
I never got kicked out of a Smorgasbord. I don't know why. I did. I ate a lot of food there, but I get. You know what? My dad always said. He used to tell me, you like the poverty food. That's why no one has a problem with you going to these places. I'm like, what do you mean the poverty? He goes, you like the poverty food we used to eat when we had no money. All the,
The only other place I heard that word is from my father.
Yeah.
Because my grandmother used to make polenta.
Right. It was a poverty food.
Mussels and calamari. It was all poverty food.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how the poverty food actually is in when you don't live by the water, it becomes, a little bit more expensive food because, shellfish is expensive, but unless you live in Maine, of course, which it's probably cheap, because you.
My father, when he was a kid, used to go down to the wharfs and get the calamari for free.
Wow.
He would give it out for free.
Really?
He would get stuck in the nets and stuff, so he'd get it and he'd walk it back to my mother's house, my grandmother's house, and she would cook.
Cook it in sauce, probably, right?
Yeah, you cook it in sauce, and she'd stuff the squid, and it was free food.
I'm
I can remember probably being like 6 and going into an Italian restaurant somewhere and with my father and him seeing calamari on the menu, and he's like,
outrageous price, right? Yeah.
No, he just couldn't believe that anyone was eating it. It was poverty food.
Right. It's poverty food, but it's really not. I mean, because it's just because of it was poverty food in Maine, but I guarantee if you were in Texas, that wasn't poverty food. Poverty food in Texas was a steak. Because you killed the cow in your backyard there. That was grazing on the grass.
It was, I think.
Was lobster considered poverty food, or you got? They sold those. Yeah, they sold those.
Smelts. You could get free smelts, calamari, and I think when I was a kid, pollock was like 40 cents a pound.
Oh, wow.
Because it was considered a fish that people didn't eat.
But it's funny. It's a good bodybuilding fish, right? Good lean white fish. Yeah.
40 cents. You could eat 6 pounds a day for $2.40.
Don't they make that the imitation crab meat that you get like at the
They make it out of
places?
pollock, yeah.
It's made out of pollock, right? It's just dyed or something like that to make it look like it's people don't know that. I have people like who I will go to sushi with. I'm like, how come you guys don't eat raw fish? Oh, we eat California rolls. I'm like, it's not raw. That's not fish. They're like, I mean, it's not raw fish. Oh, yes, it is. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it's crab. I'm like, it's not raw. It's crab. Pollock. I said.
Yeah.
So
who knows? This day and age, you may be cutting into steaks that are not steaks.
You never know. You never know. Who would know?
I know.
Right?
There's a lot of fake food, fake GH.
That's right. I have to make some kits to test the fake food now.
Yeah. Well, I think Jose Raymond always says, I know my food and my weights are real. the best quote, Jose has probably 200 different quotes.
Yeah.
And one that will go down in the books is that all bodybuilders should train always. Like their quote, their stuff is fake.
Right. So you train harder, right? Exactly.
So just who cares? Just train like it's,
Yeah. I every week we have to report someone else died, of course, unfortunately, in this crazy sport we're in and this crazy times we're living in. We lost another bodybuilder, Brian May. Did you know Brian?
No, but you said he was a friend of yours. Well, you know everyone.
Well, I knew him. I wouldn't say he was like a friend, but he was, let me see if I can pull a picture of him up. He was a guy back in like the early 2000s, mid 2000s, like that was like competing. He was pretty good. I don't know if you remember him and Rodney Roller had a problem with each other. They were like best friends for a while, and then they had a problem. I don't remember.
I know Rodney Roller's name, but I haven't heard that name.
I don't remember what it was over though. That was Brian. He, it's funny because I saw someone had asked me about him, and I was like, no way, no way, we didn't. And then I was just happened to be texting with Robbie Lopez, and Robbie, he's from Jersey, Brian, and Robbie knows everyone. I said, Rob, did Brian May die? He's like, yeah. He's like, I said, no way. He's like, yep. So condolences out to the family, of course. I don't know what the circumstances are around this. I don't want to even like speculate, but I think he had been having some problems. I think he was another like Luke type of situation, but I don't know. I don't really, like I said, want to speculate. I just want to send condolences out. Like I said, he was a pretty good bodybuilder. I don't know why he stopped. He was doing well. He was in that whole Jersey clique. I think he trained at Maz's gym. And we lost another one. There was, one of the guys that I'm friends with who works at the Valuetainment channel, Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah.
His dad passed away, and his dad was a bodybuilder back in the let me see if I can pull up his picture. Back in the day, he competed in like the 40s. And I don't think he was like, he wasn't like a Mr. America or anything like that, but he was, how many guys actually trained in the 40s, bodybuilding?
Yeah.
If you think about it, I mean, think about how many, if you had to say a percentage of the population.
Oh my gosh. Sub. Nobody.
My father used to tell me that they used to think the guys that worked out were gay. There was something wrong with them. That they would shave their bodies and do all that stuff. It's true.
The Speedos lent itself.
Yeah. It's no one did it. So let me pull this picture up here. There's not that many existing pictures of this guy, but his son, who works for Valuetainment, I think he does video editing over there, sent me a couple pictures of his dad, Stan Striner. The son's name is Paul. From legend has it that in the 1950 Mr. Cleveland, he won best legs. You remember they used to do best body parts? People don't remember that.
Yes, they used to give trophies for best arms, best body legs. It was usually best arms, chest, or legs, right? I don't know why they stopped doing it. I think because somebody could say, I went to the Cleveland show, I won, I won the overall, and I won all the body parts.
Right. And then if you didn't win the overall, you could at least say, "Oh, I was best arms," something like that. Now, if you look, I love the picture. Do you see the picture?
Oh yeah.
How it's like all like fragmented there, like he had to tape it together or something like that. That's a real picture. That's the way pictures were. Yeah. They don't make pictures like that anymore, as my dad would say.
Yeah, you can't filter it.
It's great. It's like my son got a hold of it and tore it up by accident.
In the 40s, that was considered guns right there, right?
Yeah.
Of course, we had an arm like that in the 1940s.
And this is before, and he told me, his dad didn't even know anything about like performance enhancing drugs, like no idea. Like, because I don't even know if they didn't even have them yet, right? They didn't make drugs back in the 50s. I think I don't think D-ball came out to 1959.
Who was it? It wasn't Zig Ziglar. Who was it?
Oh yeah, it was the Ziegler Labs or something like that. But who was the guy who made it? I don't even remember.
Ziegler, wasn't it Ziegler?
Oh, was it? Okay.
D-ball. He invented D-ball. I think my uncle used D-ball.
Did he really?
Yeah, my uncle was like big.
Really? I didn't know you had bodybuilding in your family.
Yeah, that's not how, but I mean, when I got kind of like started getting into it, he had lo and behold, I mean, he always was big anyway. I knew he was big, but I didn't know how big. He had a garage full of like Ed Jubenville stuff. Remember Ed Jubenville?
Yeah.
He used to make the first exercise machines, more or less.
Wow. John Bosley Ziegler, known as John Ziegler, was the American physician who developed methamphetamine, which is Dianabol. It was released in 1958 by Ciba Labs. Yeah.
I was right on the last name, and I was right on the years, the 50s.
Yeah. 1958. I think in 59 is when they started giving it to the athletes. Isn't that funny? Originally, they developed Dianabol to help the Olympic athletes compete with the other, against the other countries, and then all of a sudden they banned it. I don't know why. No. Well, they made it so that the athletes would be better at what they do. And they're blaming us.
Remember the insert that used to say anabolic steroids do not support athletic performance?
Yeah, they said that up to 2000. I think they were pulling that rhetoric still.
Crazy.
Well, then why ban them if they don't do anything? That's what I always said, right? Why are they testing? I said, why are they testing if they don't do anything? Well, they may do something. We just haven't proven it yet. That was their whole shtick. You can't make this shit up, Chris.
No, I mean I've never heard that argument, which is the best.
Yeah.
Read the insult. Doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. But we're still going to ban him anyway. 92 years old, Stan was. That just goes to show you bodybuilding lifestyle definitely works, if you do it right. So, one, obviously, death, way too young. One death. We don't want to ever see a death, but 92 years, so full life. I think that was the feel-good story of the week. If we're going to find some good in sadness sometimes, but when my dad passed at 88, and I think you probably feel the same way, although I don't want to speak for you. I was at peace with the fact that he was that was it. 88 years I got with him. He lived a full life. I don't want to see my dad become like a child again. Like a vegetable. So I was happy that I think it was a perfect time for him to transition to the next phase. It's sad when you lose people who are in their 30s and 40s and stuff like that, because that's just a little too early, I think.
Yeah, well, when you live, if you're living to your 80s and you've been sick for a while, you have a chance to prepare, as opposed to somebody who's 30 and you get a telephone call and you find out, they died.
Sure.
You have no chance to go back and say, you know what I mean?
Of course.
Even if the guy's 30 and he's got some cancer, that it's not going to happen in 1 day, 2 days, 3 months, 4 months. But when it's sudden, it doesn't give you that chance to finish it.
Yeah, no, you're right. I was looking at our iTunes account. I never log into it. I wanted to see, we've been doing this show since 2009. So we've been doing it for I think it's our 12th year or something like that. So we have a lot of podcasts, we've done, every single week for, 11 or 12 years. It's a lot of podcasts. So I wanted to go back and I was just looking at the account and I saw we had 44,000 reviews, Chris. on the show. Most of them very positive.
I was going to say half of them bad.
No. Most of them. There was a couple that I was reading, just skimming them. You can't read 44,000 reviews. Some of them said that they didn't like the fact that we were talking about recently. They said the show has gone down the tubes because we're only talking about like old times and like we're two like old men. I'm saying to myself,
we are two old men.
Yeah, I said number one, we are two old men, right? And number two, I said, there's nothing fucking going on in the bodybuilding world. They're lucky we're even fucking doing the podcast. We should just stop it.
Let's talk about Kai's comeback or something, for the 12th year in a row. Or let's talk about letting them have Roden back in the Olympia.
Exactly.
I mean, what do you want to talk about? Let's talk about the pro show that just didn't happen. That was supposed to happen. That at the last minute didn't happen.
Right. Once they start competing, we'll talk about bodybuilding again.
Yeah.
But most of the reviews are very favorable. Everyone really liked the show, so that put me in a good mood. Interestingly, a lot of people have been asking me recently. I don't know why, so I figure I might as well address it here. Like, what kind of new supplements do you use? What do you because I'm always giving my my list of supplements that I use on a regular basis. A lot of them I make them via Species Nutrition. And, people always say, what new stuff? They want to know like the stuff I don't tell them about, so to speak, because I'm always testing new stuff.
Trendalize.
These are products I don't even make. Amanda had bought this stuff because she had like some like colitis like a couple of years ago, like a flare up or something like that. And she bought some probiotics from Natron. Have you ever? I don't know if you know the company Natron?
Yeah, of course. They've been around forever.
Yeah. They're pretty well known. And let me pull this up. I'll pull up their website just so I can show people what I'm using. So there's two products from Natron that I use. I've been using, and I feel like my digestion is better, even though my digestion is really not bad. But I think it's even better using this. And the products this one is called Megadophilus. It's basically acidophilus, Lactobacillus acidophilus. And what they found was that this particular probiotic really likes to hang out in the small intestine. So when you take this, it populates the small intestine as opposed to the colon, which is the large intestine. And so it offers protection. Now, the great thing about probiotics is when these bacteria grow on the internal portions of your intestine, they basically coat it and they protect it. It's like having like a bodyguard to your small intestine. So your small intestine is not as vulnerable to pathogens and fungal infections and stuff like that or even ulcerations, and that's really what colitis is, right? When you have like an ulceration or there's a break in the line or you have an abrasion in there and then it hurts. And so you get soreness there, you can get some bleeding, you get mucus production because the body's trying to, compensate and protect it. But if you have this lining of this good bacteria in there, it acts as that layer of protection there, and you're not going to get any kind of like flare-ups and stuff like that. So if you have issues, this is a really, good probiotic. Now, I always recommend, I usually eat and I still do, like fermented foods, like bubby sauerkraut and coconut kefir. But this is like just a direct source of something that would be perfect just for your small intestine.
What do the fermented foods do for you?
Well, if they ferment them, what they do is when they ferment them with using usually sugar, and they seed it with bacteria, and then the bacteria ferment the sugar in there as a food source, and it creates more of themselves. So you have this like billions of cultures of good bacteria because they're actually putting the bacteria in there that they that's good for you. It's not like they're just saying, oh, let's see what grows. They're seeding it, and that's how you make fermented foods. They do it with yogurt, and they call it kefir. They can do it with coconut now, coconut like milk, and they call that coconut kefir if you're lactose intolerant. That's what I would use. This is, I don't even know how, I don't know exactly what, they probably use some kind of sugar to kind of formulate this, but then what they do is they powderize it. So they ferment this stuff, they make the bacteria, they grow it, they dry it, and they put it in this like powder form, and it has to be kept in the refrigerator. And this is the great thing is this is dairy free. So if you have a lactose problem, it's not gonna bother your gut, so to speak. So this is a good one, and then there's another one.
Pause there. What are the dietary? What causes, in the first place, the bacteria like underproduction? I guess would be in the gut.
Well, because you can take antibiotics if you have if you do a dose of antibiotics, a lot of times it'll kill off a lot of the good bacteria too. Because remember, antibiotics don't discriminate; they kill everything. They kill whatever is around. So if you're on antibiotics for a long period of time for whatever reason, whether some people take it for acne, some people have an infection. The reason why you get diarrhea a lot of times is because you're wiping out all the good bacteria too. Likewise, if you don't eat a great diet, the bacteria die off because you're not feeding them properly. Like taking a product like my Fibrolyze, the bacteria ferment, fiber. That's like a food source for them. That's why they call it prebiotic. Prebiotics are like what you give the probiotics in your gut to eat, so to speak. So fiber can be considered a prebiotic. Why don't you come
up with a new advanced Fibrolyze with probiotics?
I was thinking, but then herein lies the thing. I would want people to have the best stuff, and there is some heat-resistant forms of probiotics, but by and far, a lot of the good stuff needs to be kept refrigerated. So it would be too hard to keep, Fibrolyze temperature controlled. So I wouldn't want, like I said, I want people to take the best stuff. If I thought I can do it, I would do it. And there is a possibility of me I was thinking even making a protein with some probiotics in it, because like I said, there are some heat resistant ones you can put in there that are good for you, but they're not specific for colon or small intestine. So, it's one's good, one's not good. You got to kind of take the good with the bad, type of thing. Now those are pills I showed you, but I use the powder. Some people don't like to use powder. I just mix it in my Fibrolyze shake actually. So it's like I'm like feeding the bacteria before they actually get into my gut. But you can use the capsules too. They sell. The other product that I use from them is, let's see if I can put that up there. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Bifidobacter. And that's an interesting one because it's the Bifidobacterium bifidum is primarily populated or grows in your colon. So, and obviously that will help with, the vitamin production down there, vitamin D production, and vitamin K production, and also will help obviously keep the colon healthy. And most people, ironically, have colon issues, not small intestine issues. I always say, take a little of each. So what I do is I buy, and I don't use this all the time. I might buy like a couple bottles of this, keep it in my refrigerator, and for a month, say I'll use the Bifidobacter for my colon, and then the next month I might use the small intestine one, or I might go every other day. One day I use the Bifido, one day I use the Lactobacillus one, and I'll do that for like a month or something like that, or 60 days, and then I'll just see if I feel better. And a lot of times, just from doing that, I just feel good. I have more energy, and I don't, my digestion seems to be better. So, it doesn't hurt to try it, guys. Especially if you have if you have an irritable bowel, or you have, any kind of like colitis, or even worse, Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, these products work really well. And they were developed by by a doctor who actually treats Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. So that's where.
If that doesn't work, you can go with the Tony Freeman route.
What
would Tony do?
I don't like. He's a big. He's a believer in probiotics, but I think the problem is that.
No, but he used to do.
He does the colonics. He does the
colonics. I thought he used to do copy edemas or something.
I think that was that other guy. What was his name? The guy who lived in Venice. Oh my god, I can't remember his name. He was a good bodybuilder too. A lot of energy. I can't remember. He probably did coffee edemas too, but. Tony was a big colonics guy, and I don't, I feel the colonics wipe out a lot of good bacteria also, as well as when they're taking everything out. But Tony would always put it back in. He's a very health conscious person, but I think if you take a fiber supplement like Fibrolyze twice a day on a regular basis, you don't really need a colonic because it kind of makes sure that everything's moving through you properly. I think if you're clogged up really bad, maybe you just have been having colon issues for a long time, a colonic might not hurt. I did one once as a test run before a show, a week before a show. And it was the most uncomfortable thing I'd ever done. Now, granted, I bet if I would continue to have doing more and more of them, I probably would have gotten a little more used to it. It was very uncomfortable for me. And I did feel cleaned out after it was done, but I felt that it came back pretty fit. In other words, like, immediately you're like, oh yeah, I got all this out of me. And then, the next day or 2 days later, you're back to where you were.
Well, a lot of people do it the night before the show to flatten their stomach.
Yeah, but I think it's very, to me, it seems like it's very
flatten you out.
No, it's like traumatic to the colon what you're doing. I mean, it's not natural. So you're pumping water up there and forcing the colon to work. It can cause inflammation. It can cause fluid retention. I know a lot of people say it dries you out. I don't think that you should be doing anything like that right before. Doing an enema in your house is way different than doing a colonic, which is blowing water all the way up the whole colon. It just seems a little drastic to me, to go about that. And you're going to eat after that anyway. It's not like you're going to go and then go to the show and do the show. I mean, although Tony probably has done that before, but you got to still keep carbon up, So
speaking of Tony, you should get Tony on one of the shows.
Yeah, I haven't had him on in a while.
He can talk on any topic.
And he's got an opinion about every topic too.
That's why he can talk about any topic.
Yeah. Now, another good product I've been using, and this is because Anthony Pasquale has a company called Vava Life. I don't know if you've seen it. Let me pull it up here. It's there it is. And Vava Life basically makes different mushrooms formulations to help your immune system and help with, they think it has cognitive effects on your brain. These mushrooms have like immune system enhancing effects. So he gave me the two products. He's got the Wisdom, because I need to improve my memory. And he gave me Monad, which is supposed to be good against viral infections and other, I guess you could say like fungal infections and stuff like that. So I started taking it. I just take it. I just add it to my regimen, to my 100 pills I take a day.
I was going to say, you take so many pills, it's ridiculous.
Now, the good
Dave's house has, it looks like a GNC center, right?
Yeah. The good thing is when I do a controlled study, I don't add 10 different new things at the same time. I add one new thing at the same time, so I can see what's working. Lion's mane, as you can see, is supposed to be really good for your brain function. And I definitely need I should probably have him send you a few bottles too, because you and me both have memory loss in our family trees. So I know that's why I'm taking it. I'm seeing if it works. So anyway, I've been taking it for 3 months now. And thank you, Anthony, for sending it for free, by the way. He's hooked me up. And I'm going to tell you something. I had this toenail fungus, Chris, on my left big toe. I got it, I'm convinced, from doing yoga that 15 years ago when I was doing yoga, because you don't wear shoes. And I never had any toenail fungal infections ever. And I got it. And I think you got it from there, because that's the only place I can imagine where I got it from. So anyway, I've been trying to treat this thing for 15 years with every toenail treatment, they got for toenail fungus that exists on the market. I've tried all the kooky stuff and paint this on and do this. And I even took a 3 months course of itraconazole, which is also known as Spornox, which is really what you need to knock this stuff out. It's just an antifungal. And I took it, Chris, and I was worried because, it could be liver toxic. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to take it for 3 months. And at the end of 3 months, the thing had grown out. Like it was gone, really. There might have been like a speck I saw. And I'm like, great, I got rid of it. I can't believe it. Finally, this fucking thing grew out. So I stopped taking it. I ran out of it, I guess. And lo and behold, a month later, the fucking thing started growing back. I'm like, this nail's turning yellow. What the fuck's going on here? I'm like, I should have done it for 4 months. And I'm like, I'm not doing it again. I'm not going to subject because you got to take it every day. And it does have liver issues. It does have liver toxicity issues. I'm like, I'm not taking steroids. I'm not going to take this itraconazole stuff. So I just suffered with it, which it really wasn't suffering. It just looked nasty,
That's, speaking of liver, the typical, a very often question I'm asked is, what should I take for liver and kidney support? And what I always say? What? I'll ask Dave and get back to you.
Yeah.
I always say that. Let me ask Dave. I'll get back with you.
I'll go over that next. But so anyway, I've been taking this stuff that Anthony gave me, both bottles. So I don't really know which one's doing it. I would assume the monad is probably doing, because that's the one that really helps your immune system. And lo and behold, I've noticed that the nail is growing out, and it's not, as my nail's growing out, the black discoloration is moving toward the top of the nail, and the new part of the nail that is growing is clear. It's healing. It has gotten rid of, or knock on wood, I don't want to jinx myself, it seems as though it has knocked out whatever fungal infection was systemically in my body or in that nail bed, and it's cured it. And it's done it naturally with natural mushrooms. So mushroom extracts. So I'm very pleased. So if you guys want to try it out, I mean, you can go to his website, vavalife.com, and check those things out. I think there's some good science behind it. I really like it. I've had him on the TV show. We talked about it too before. And I think that there's some good stuff. It's a little niche that he kind of is trying to, take advantage of, because not many people have done it. But it's hard, because it's one of these things that, like, you have to really educate people a lot as to why you should use it. So anyway, if anyone's interested, if you have a bad fungal infection in your toenail and you want to give it a shot, you might find some relief from it. I don't know if that's what did it, but it seems like it's the only thing that I've added recently.
So let's see if it comes back. Okay.
Yeah, right, exactly. If it comes back, I'm like, that bastard. That bastard cheated me. He gave me free product, and it worked, and then came back. He teased me. Now, I think it's going to work. I think that, these fungal, look, let's face it, all the antibiotics that we have come from fungi, right? I mean, that's where they derive from. People don't realize that. That's where they develop penicillin. So we know that these mushrooms have immune system stimulating effects. We know that they have antibacterial effects, antiviral effects. And I feel very comfortable. I'm taking it now during this whole COVID epidemic. But by the way, I had a psychic reading. Did I tell you that last week?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't tell you that.
What they say?
Nothing monumental. But he did tell me my family would not be affected by COVID. So I'm believing it.
Wasn't the Long Island Madam, was it?
No.
I know she's got like 1 degree of separation from bodybuilding, right?
Yeah. I've run into her, I think, before in my travels. But this guy is like more along the lines of he would be a whack packer if he would come on the show for sure. He's intense.
What 2 good things did he tell you that you made you go like,
He told me I'm very healthy. He told me I'm very healthy. He says, "Oh, you're very healthy." I said, "I am." He goes, "Very healthy." He goes, like, almost to like an extreme, the way you take care of yourself. I said, "Yeah, that's about accurate." He goes, "Yeah, you're really healthy." I said, "Oh, that's good." And then I said, I think I asked about the COVID thing. I think COVID came up later down the road. We were talking about it, about conspiracies and stuff like that. And he's like, he said, "Don't worry, you're not going to be affected by it." I said, "Oh, good. I'll take that. I'll take those 2 things alone. I'll take."
Yeah.
Be very happy.
So long as you don't get hit by a car.
Right. But at least
nothing bad. He didn't give you anything bad. No bad news.
No bad news. But I don't know if those guys. I don't know if they would give you bad news. That's the problem. I don't really want to know anyway. I don't know why I even do these psychic readings. I just
you just want to go.
It is. Amanda watches
the good news.
Yeah, Amanda watches this guy. He does. This is a really good marketing tool, by the way, for himself. He does he'll do like a live chat on Facebook every week, and he'll randomly read people that are in the chat. He'll just be like, "Who has a father by the name of blah, 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 blah," and he'll just start giving them readings. Which is, you could do that, cold readings on just people you don't even see.
Let me see if I can do it right now on the radio show. Anyone out there got any worry? I sense that somebody's got a lot of worries.
No, but so Amanda watches him like on Sunday nights, and then so he said, "If you want to do private reading with me, hit me up." And it turns out he actually lives near like literally like 2 minutes from where I went to medical school, ironically enough. He lives up there. So anyway,
that could mean something.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just fun. It was just funny that he was right there. He's like, Grasslands, right? Isn't that where I see? I lived there for I had a room there for 2 years.
Yeah, and you ended up guest posing there a few years after, right? Remember we talked about that. Where you went to school?
No, I went to college. No, I Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I guest post. But yeah, that was in medical school. Was up in Westchester. Where Bob, that's why I met. That's why I was right around the corner from Bob. I was living for a while when I was up there.
I got lost in, what was the name of the school?
Which one?
The one in Westchester.
Oh, New York Medical College.
Yeah, because I got lost when they moved the New York Pro to where? Like right.
Oh, White Plains. Yeah, you probably passed the exit. Yeah, I used to do that all the time.
And I got lost, and I went right by the school, and I'm like, why do I know that school?
Yeah, if you don't make if you don't turn onto you don't make the turn onto that 287 there, you go up too far north and you see Westchester County Medical Center. Yeah,
that's exactly it.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I actually liked going to school there. It was you know what, it was far enough away from my dad's house but it was still close enough, like a 45-minute ride I can drive home.
Yeah.
So I didn't really mind. It was pretty good. Anyway, so that's my update. So now people can't say we just talk about old man shit. I gave you guys some valuable information right there. Okay,
that's longevity stuff. So that's technically old man stuff. People just want to know, like, get huge stuff.
Get huge stuff.
Give me the protocol. Give me the anabolic protocol. That's what people want.
I was thinking about coming out with a weight gainer called Massive. What do you think about that?
Well, you don't have to tell people what it's for.
Yeah, I was actually gonna make it a keto. I was
just gonna ask you. You know
like
what?
Keto Massive. I was gonna call it.
Dave, you're the psychic. We don't need a psychic. Somebody asked me 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And I said, it's another one. I said, I don't know. Let me ask Dave. He wanted to know. He's lean, and he's been doing keto, and he loves it. Mm-hmm. And he says he doesn't dare to ever go on anything but keto, but now he wants to gain mass using the keto. What should I do? And I said, let me ask Dave.
I always tell people not to try to grow on a ketogenic diet.
But you're gonna have a massive. But your product's going to be called Massive, and it's going to be keto based.
Right, but I'm just saying. That doesn't mean that you should just only. I still think you should incorporate carbohydrates, at least around like training and stuff like that, because otherwise, it's impossible to really grow on a ketogenic diet. It's very hard. Because what happens is you invariably use a lot of the protein and fat as fuel, because that's the fuel source, right? Fat when you're doing keto diet. So if you're using it as fuel, you're not using it to build and repair muscle. So you can do it, but you're just not it's not gonna be as much. The effect is not gonna be as much. Oh, I want to show you another product that I tried this. You might like this, but probably not. But yeah, no, I think you will like it. Let me pull it up. Hold on. Hold on a second here. This is I saw it in, believe it or not, of all places, Walmart. I bought it. I'm like, this can't be good. It sounds too good to be true. So I took it home and I tried it. It was good. Hold on. I'm pulling up the wrong thing now. Oh, it's the wrong one. It's the wrong one. Hold on. I lost Chris. How did I lose Chris? I hope I didn't X him out. He'll come back. Here it is. All right. It's called Super Coffee. Super Keto Coffee. I got to get Chris back here first, though. How did I lose Chris? I always lose him when I'm like talking. I'm doing valuable talks right now. All right. Let's pull this up. This keto coffee, this super coffee, has got no carbs in it. It's got 10 grams of protein. Here's the values. Only 80 calories. 0 sugar. It's got like 1 gram of carb. It's got MCT oil in there. It's absolutely delicious. It's cold. You keep it in the refrigerator. I've tried the mocha and the vanilla. I haven't tried the hazelnut or caramel yet. Absolutely delicious. There's 200 grams of caffeine. I drink a half at a time because 200 milligrams in one shot is too much for me. I'm not a caffeine person. Matter of fact, I never used caffeine. I just started using caffeine since I had kids because I don't sleep. I only sleep 4 hours. I got to have a little bit to wake me up. So I drink a half of one. It's so delicious. Now it's got whey concentrate in there, but it's not a lot of it. I'm pretty sensitive to lactose. I can drink, a half of one, which is hardly anything. And man, it wakes me up. It tastes outrageous. I could drink probably 10 of them if I allowed myself to. But I would have a heart attack and die. So obviously I don't do that. But you want to try something very unique that's carb-free? You could almost, I'm afraid to, because I know what's going to happen. All my clients are going to say, can I drink this on the diet? No. If you're doing like a normal diet where you're not really getting ready for a show, you could definitely use this. You could definitely drink probably one of these. And you get 10 grams of protein. There's a little bit of fat in it from MCT, which is burned up pretty easily. And then there's no carbs. I could probably even somehow even justify allowing like my contest dieting clients to use it too. If you really liked it that much, it's a great product. It's ingenious and it's ready to drink. You don't have to mix anything. You shake it up, you pop one open and you start drinking it. They're really good. Once again, I have no vested interest and no stake in it. I wish I did. I wish I made them, to be honest with you. That's how good they are. So put it out there. Where the hell is Chris? How come I always lose him just about when I'm going to talk about bodybuilding stuff? So anyway, when I lost you there, I talked about my keto coffee. You got to check it out. It's pretty cool. It's called Super Coffee, or I think it's called Super Keto Coffee or something like that. They're in ready to drinks. They're absolutely delicious. You'll love them. I'll send you a link after the show's over. Oh. All right, I want to talk about today Lee Haney. We've been trying to pick bodybuilders from the past that were exemplary, and Lee Haney, really gets glossed over when you think about it. I mean, the guy won 8 Mr. Olympias. And while he didn't beat the lineups that Dorian Yates and that Ronnie Coleman beat, he was so dominant when he competed that guy, even when he was off, guys couldn't beat him. What was the first recollection that you have? Because you followed bodybuilding way before, earlier than I did. I didn't start till the late 80s, which is when Haney was almost done then. So what was your first recollection of when Haney came on the scene?
I was in New York when he won the Nationals. I went to that show.
Oh, wow. You went to the first NPC Nationals?
Which year was it? 82 or 83?
82.
I was there.
82,
no,
yeah.
82 or 83.
Yeah. It was 82, I think.
I was there. My sister bought me tickets to a bodybuilding show. She lived in Queens. And I flew on People's Express for $20. And I'd never been on a plane before.
Yeah.
Dave, listen to this story. And I went to the Nationals.
Right.
And originally she told me we were going to see the Mr. America contest. Right. And they had to change the name from the NPC, I think Mr. America or something like that.
Oh, right. It was from Mr. America to the Nationals. Yeah.
And so I sat next to Bob Paris's training partner.
Who is who?
I can't remember. I don't know who it was. I just remember I don't know any of the names. Who was who? I didn't know anyone back in the day. I just remember Haney won. Moses Maldonado won his class.
He was a freak, that Moses Maldonado. I looked him up.
And when you're a kid, every single I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. The level of the lightweights, Dave, was won by the guy who became a big-time chiropractor and trainer of the stars, Dean Tornabene.
Oh, okay.
And Dean Tornabene was about 4 feet 10 inches tall. And to me, he just looked crazy freaky.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was there, and Tim Belknap got beat there, and he was the favorite going in.
Oh, he was the favorite. Okay.
And
you said Mendenhall was second, right?
Yeah, I have a picture somewhere of me and Tim Belknap in the lobby.
That's funny. And
it was crazy, Dave, because I got to go to see the show, and it's the only sport where all the athletes come out into the lobby right after the show.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like going to like an MMA fight for some little kid, and then all the fighters come out in the lobby, and you get to go right up to them after.
Right. What must have also been pretty funny is that Bob Paris was fourth at the show, and little did you know later you'd go on to helping him.
It's embarrassing. It's so crazy. It's like it is embarrassing. Bob Gruskin probably was there if I looked hard enough.
Yeah, I'm sure.
With the magic ashtray.
Mike Quinn was in that show too. He was 7th place.
Mike was.
Jeff Everson was in the lineup. Can you believe it?
Yes, he was. And they had pairs. Corey was in the.
Oh, they did the pairs. Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
But they didn't give the body part awards.
No.
I'm trying to think who else was in that show that was really impressive.
Charles Glass was third in that lightweight.
Charles Glass looked
light
good.
Heavyweight. Yeah. This is funny. Mike Torsher, who we were talking about the last week, he was 8th.
Yeah.
10th place was Tony Little, who we know from those commercials, the infomercials.
Yep.
And Jerry Scalisi was 11th. So Bob was definitely there then. That means.
I would have thought he probably would have said, "Hey, you could be pretty good. How old are you? 11?"
You shouldn't have been covered up. He could have discovered you back then.
You got great structure. I don't know. Prove me wrong.
You know who won the lightweight class? James Galbert, who was Roddy Gobert's father. Did you know that?
Okay, yeah, I did know. What about Dean Tornabene?
He was second in the lightweight.
Rupplinger won the class, right? Dale Rupplinger?
Yeah, he was the middleweight champ.
See, I mean, it was my first.
Wow.
It was my first.
You probably studied the results of that for weeks in all the wrestling magazines after, right?
It was. I thought of this. You know why I just thought of this? See, you are a psychic. My sister's birthday 2 days ago she turned 60, and we did a Zoom meeting.
Oh wow, that's cool.
And you know what she told me?
What?
I was the first one to take you to a bodybuilding contest.
Oh, she remembered that. That's so funny.
And then I remembered immediately. Yeah, that's when she don't know who Lee Haney is and Maldonado and Dale Rupplinger. But
that was a good one she picked to take you too.
And it was like the excitement was like going to the combination of like a Kiss concert with the WWF, wrestling meets. The excitement and it was in New York City.
That's funny.
The audience was nuts. It was sold out. And people, how freaky did they look to like a 13 or 14-year-old?
I can't even imagine what it was like to you.
So, yeah, I was at Lee Haney's first Nationals win. I will dig up pictures somewhere, Dave, and I'll post them up. I probably have the picture of me and Belknap.
Lee Haney. So that was the beginning of his reign, essentially. And then, he went on obviously to win he didn't win the Olympia the first time he did it. People don't realize that. That was in 83. That was Samir Bannout won that.
That was also.
Oh no, Chris Dickerson, right? Was it Dickerson?
Dickerson won in 82. I'll fill in for Hansen since he's not here.
Okay. Dickerson
won in 82, Samir in 83.
And then
84 Lee Haney was did he win or he was he won.
He won in 84. Yeah.
And was that New York? Yeah, was that New York? Yes, it was. And I had my PSATs in 9th grade.
Who did he beat? Who was second?
My sister got me tickets for the Olympia, and I didn't go. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Same sister.
Nice sister.
He beat 84. Lee Haney was first. Samir fell down to like 6th or 7th.
Yeah, 6th.
Sergio Oliva was in it, which was an insult. They invited him at like when he was all washed up.
Real. That's.
And who else was in the show?
Muhammad Makaway.
Muhammad Makaway was second.
Right.
And
Yusuf Wilcox was third.
Yeah. Imagine got third place.
Beckles,
I remember that show, Dave, was on Wild World of Sports.
Wow.
Tom Platz was in that show.
9th place.
And
what happened to Chris Dickerson? He fell to 11th here.
Yeah, who knows? He had that elbow problem. I think he had the GH elbow or something.
There was no GH then.
Yeah, well, he had his elbow was like this long.
It was. I know. I remember he had that long, elongated elbow. Is that when it would happen?
Yeah, I think so. He was using the cadaver GH, I believe.
You think so?
I heard so.
Really? Wow. So it made everything grow, huh?
And Lee Haney, when they interviewed him, I'll never forget, on Wild World of Sports or NBC Sports,
right?
He said, "Mother Nature only whoop up something like me once in a generation. Mother Nature only whoops up." And he looks so much bigger than everyone else.
That's like a Cedric response, speech.
And they interviewed Tom Platz, who was like, they asked him like about your places. He says, "Passion, you gotta have passion."
You remember the interviews? How funny is that? That's great. Oh, I lost Chris again. I don't know how I did that. This was great. What happened?
That's you.
Oh,
That's
there.
You.
Oh, I thought I lost you. Okay, sorry. I almost lost you. You remember the actual interviews? How crazy is that?
Yep, I remember because I thought that Platz was going to do. You know what? Little did I know, like in those days, the Olympia they're putting on NBC Sports. The show was like 9 months ago.
Right. Right.
So little did I know that I thought Tom Platz, who was in 81, of course, phenomenal. This was 84. He had, gone downhill.
Look at that picture of Lee Haney I found.
Crazy. Where'd you find that?
It was on like Old School Labs or something like that. How funny. He looks like one of your kids.
He does. Did you know Mike Quinn? Did I send you that team picture of Mike Quinn from?
Yes. Yeah.
Mike Quinn got second to Lee Haney at the junior
nationals in 82.
Nationals in 82.
Yeah. And
I just think Mike Quinn could have been perennial top 3 Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, I think if his head was on straight, I think he would definitely.
What's this? Lee Haney when he's like 15 or something?
Teenager, winning a teenage show.
Is those the trunks he wore? Probably.
Probably. And he still beat everyone. Look at that physique.
He probably don't know what he's doing at that point.
The funny thing is, Lee Haney's head has never changed. He looks like he was 60 years old when he was like 12, and now he's 62 years old. He looks young,
Yeah,
it's funny.
That was my first recollection of Lee, seeing him win the nationals, and then the next time I get to see him in real life is in LA, and I get to see I was at the bodybuilding camp, Dave, right?
Right.
So by that time, I was Mr. Absorb everything. Mm-hmm. And Gaspari had been up. Louis Friedis has been up. DeMay had been up, Barry DeMay. Mike Quinn had come up to this bodybuilding camp. And when Lee Haney came up, I said, show's over.
Were people crazy?
Yeah, he was wider from behind than everybody. Surprisingly, his legs were pretty darn good. That's what surprised me. And he ate regular food for breakfast.
He's like a Cedric, right?
Yeah, everyone ate Gaspari would have 12 egg whites, measure out his oats, put some Splenda or whatever equal on it, some cinnamon, maybe a little bit of non-fat milk.
Right.
And then Lee Haney shows up and orders from the dining hall. I'm dead serious. He ordered
scrambled eggs and bacon.
He had regular eggs. He had muffins. He had 2 glasses of orange juice.
That's what's great about genetics, isn't it? You can put anything into it. It's like a blast furnace. Was this from one of the camps right here, this picture?
No, I don't know where this is from.
I'm just looking. There's Lee right now. Looks exactly the same.
The expressions are the same. Lee's got the same.
Yeah.
That's from Italy. Rimini, that shot.
Really? You remember that? Yeah, because
yeah.
Gaspari. It's Gaspari. Yeah.
Now, Rich is the itch. I call Rich the itch because he's always there.
This picture against Dorian. This is, I think, the best Haney ever looked.
I was at this show. This was in Orlando.
The 91 Olympia.
91, and believe me, they're pushing Lee to lose.
Yeah.
Ben Weider was.
Because he left Weider.
Yep.
Publications. He was working with MD.
And they had it at that hotel with the swan on it.
Oh, right. Okay. What the hell's the name of that one?
And they had about 3,500 or 4,000 seats, and they were all on the floor, so you couldn't see anything.
Really?
At this show, I prep Bob. This is a show I prep Bob Paris at. He got 9th or 11th.
Dorian was really good here too. He just was a little flat, I think, but because he probably overdieted. He even told me that he overdieted for the show. But Haney was fucking spot on. I don't think he was ever this good.
No, he was never this good.
And I think it was he knew Dorian was coming. They must have told him, you better be perfect because they're not going to let you win. Not
only did they probably tell him, but I mean, I'd never spoken to Ben Weider in my life, and he was telling me, who am I?
What did he tell you?
I was I finagled my way into the hotel where Ben was staying.
Right.
And it was that hotel, the Swan Hotel.
Okay.
But they had a VIP breakfast, and someone gave us tickets to go to the VIP breakfast. Mm-hmm. And it was the morning of the prejudge, the day before. Right. And Ben was telling anyone and no one, and I was a no one. And the show's wide open. It's wide open. Anything can happen this year. It's wide open. I'm thinking, wide open? Lee Haney's won won every single year.
For 7 years.
Yeah. Anyone can win this year. Just it's not a lie.
People didn't realize the Weiders did not like to be, outdone by anyone. And I don't know how they must have thrown, the Blackmans must have thrown so much money at Haney to get him to switch over to muscular development.
$250 a year.
They were paying him that much, huh?
I heard $250 a year.
Wow. Good for Lee Haney to get that.
1991 money.
Blackman loved it because when he used to tell me, years later, he goes, we did a whole advertising campaign. Can Lee win the Olympia not working for Weider? We put it out there, so they had to judge it fairly.
Yeah. It's the elephant in the room. He's right. We
kept drawing attention to it. We kept saying it over and over.
Dave, outside of the fact that everyone in publishing went bankrupt.
Right.
Steve had a quirky little genius mind on how to
for magazines too. Yeah.
Brand things. He's just got to find his next niche if he wants. You know what I mean? Because
he doesn't have to. He made his money.
I know.
Retire.
The idea, the little niche Twin Lab product.
He was great when the magazine was at its height because he was good at putting picking out all the catchphrases people needed to go by the magazine. Freaky mass and he knew all that. But I mean, so you think that if Haney was a millimeter off, they would have definitely taken it away from him?
Without a shadow of a doubt.
I'm surprised they didn't anyway. What do you think happened? I'd love to know behind the scenes what was going on.
I would like you, one day, Dave, ask Lee, because maybe Lee put his foot down and said, "This is my title." No disrespect to Dorian, because I was there and
but
Haney
he's not a judge. Haney's not a judge. I mean, I'd love to know what's going on behind closed doors with the judges. I mean, I'm sure Mannion was running the judging panel. He's probably like, I'm not I'm going to
give it. Yeah. Well, I'm going to give it to who's going to.
Yeah.
Dave, I'm sure, I would guess if Jim was running the judging panel, he's going to give it to who deserves it. Yeah. But I'm sure Ben was breathing down his neck.
Oh yeah.
In this, boy, I heard, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Listen, Dave, you know what? I'm great at those red flags. And when I was probably like, 91, 201, 11, 12, 13, 29, 39, 40, probably 23, 24.
Right.
And when the head of the entire bodybuilding on the planet known as Earth comes up to you, and you're only 23, and says, anything can happen.
Well, but didn't he know you from the camps and stuff like that?
No, not Ben.
Oh, Ben.
Joe did. Joe.
Okay.
So, and oddly enough, I was working for Blackman at the time.
Oh, that's funny.
So for him, this, kind of like.
Maybe he knew you did. Maybe that's why he went to tell you that.
Yeah.
So you'd give the message.
Get onto Steve. I just talked to Ben Weider.
Ben Weider is way smart. He definitely said that to you, purposely said, "Oh, this little sniveling guy is going to go back to Blackman and tell him." Yeah. And you did, I'm sure. I'm sure you did.
Steve never got his praises for the foresight and ability to pull off buying Lee Haney out of the Weider Empire.
He did the same thing with Jay, though. He told me he was going to do the same thing with Jay before I left.
Yeah.
He bought Jay away from the Weiders, and Jay went and reclaimed the Olympia title.
2001 Olympia. I was sitting. I told you this story before, but we have people who stop listening to the show.
Yeah.
And then we have people who start listening to the show. So 2001 Olympia is the first time it's a 2-day show, and everyone knows Jay's got to be ahead of winning prejudging. I mean, the buzz after the prejudging Friday night, Jay Cutler. So I'm not even going to watch the show because I know it's going to be a good ending or a bad ending. Because Jay had already told me after prejudging they're not going to give it to me.
Right. So
I went way up in the boondocks in the Mandalay Bay. There was no one up there, and I hear a voice, "Grass." I look over.
What was he doing up there?
Him and Elise were up there. And he said, and he told me before the night show started,
right.
They're not going to give it to Jay, but I'm going to give him a contract. And he did the next day.
Right.
It had to be 24 hours later.
He was smart. That was
under
smart
contract.
move. Yeah, it was smart.
It'd be like signing Tom Platz from 81 to our.
Yeah. Yeah. It was worth it because he knew Jay was marketable too. I'm surprised the Weiders didn't try to grab him.
Because
sooner.
Because they were comfortable always knowing that all the Olympia winners or the guy who would get second would snivel up there,
right.
and beg.
Right.
And I don't know, if we can backtrack.
But Jay was so marketable. You would think that they would have said, "Hey, let's get a hold of this guy." And
they offered him they offered Jay a contract before he even got his pro card.
But didn't he turn him down?
Yeah, he turned him and Blackman down.
Really? Wow. How much were they throwing at him?
Huge money.
And why did he turn it down?
I don't know. I think that I don't know the reason, but it was more money than people would make, 12 and 14 years later.
Wow. Well, that just tells you what kind of Jay's smart. He knows what he's doing. He believed in himself.
Yeah, he sure as hell did.
That takes a lot of belief in yourself to turn a contract from Joe Weider down, right?
Oh, yeah. I
mean, just for the political connection you would get right there. I mean, it was worth it. Because back then, magazines, if you were with Weider, it definitely helped you. There's no doubt about it. There was you cannot deny that didn't help you, from
without a doubt,
placing point and from making money point of view. So I think Jay just didn't want to be tied to, because I'm sure the Weider contracts had a lot of responsibilities, appearances, and stuff like that. I think Jay told me in the interview I did with him years ago that he figured he could make more money just doing guest posings or something like that, or something like that. And at least he was able to make his own schedule and stuff like that. I believe that's what he told me. If I
well, the irony of it all is that Jay is got a supplement line that's just selling like hotcakes, and Weider supplement line and Twin Lab supplement line, they're gone.
Right. Well, I mean, Twin Lab they cashed out on, and Weider cashed out too, right? Didn't he sell?
Oh, they did. Yeah, I mean, but they both who they cashed out to torpedoed.
Right. You know what the problem is? These supplement lines have especially when you get too big, they have a lifespan. Because what happens is
you're 100% right.
The companies cash out. And once they cash out, the energy and momentum behind the brand
dead on. I was just going to say the life of it just is
dies.
over.
It dies. It just disappears. It would be if I sold Species Nutrition tomorrow,
it died.
It would never make it. It would do okay, but these people would they would cheapen the products up like they did with Metrics.
They would add new products.
They'd add new products that don't do anything, and then people would be like, "This is not Species. This is not what I buy my products from."
And then they'd be sold to
Walmart,
passionless people.
Right. Well, they would try to sell it to people who have who are first time buyers. They don't know that.
Yeah. 100%.
So, I mean, the Weiders sold their products because Joe marketed all the top Olympians using the products.
Yeah, and Dave, if you think Joe thought he had the greatest products of all time, I don't know how good they were, but if you asked him, are they better? He would.
They weren't bad. I think they were a little overpriced, but I think they were pretty good products for the day. I mean, the problem was they were the best that you can get for the day at that time.
Dave,
I think
we should have a game show because him and Blackman both have those catch.
Oh my God!
He made a fortune on the anabolic mega pack.
I love those. I use those.
Of course you did.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, he had the anabolic mega pack. It was a little packet with like 7,000 pills in it. Right?
Yeah, Dynamic Muscle Builder was a great product too. It was a great protein shake. Before, I mean, it was like powdered skim milk, flavored, but it was good. It tasted good. At least it mixed well. He had remember that Victory line he had for a while.
Yeah.
Which was really expensive. The products I bought them. I thought they tasted really good, and I thought the vitamins were good. I just thought they were really. I mean, it was very expensive. It was.
Jay told me recently that he still has or had in his house. I think the product called Proton.
Oh yeah, what did that do?
It was a delicious tasting powder. He had a thermogenic, Dave. that would almost you were one speed dial away from 911.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I don't know how he didn't get sued.
Chris, we had whip fuel. And we got sued by everyone. It was because it worked so well. Because it was a federal. I had the science first.
Ask Jay about. He knows that Jay just brought it up. He said, "Remember Weider's whatever it was called, thermal something? It was like a protein powder.
Oh, with
low carbs,
right?"
He said, Jay said I took like a quarter of a packet once and I almost had a heart attack. And you'd sweat like.
How about remember that product Ultimate Orange? Dan Duchaine developed? That was a Fedra base too. That was nuts.
Yeah, I think that was like PCP. I mean, it was Dan Duchaine. I don't think it was a Fedra. They just went right to like the
crystal meth. Yeah. The funny thing was that was legal back then though. You can use all that stuff. It was not like it was illegal. So I mean, everyone used it. You know?
I remember Dan Duchaine, as I've told you, trained at the same gym I trained at.
Yeah,
it's like Forrest Gump in Maine.
Yeah.
And Dan Duchaine gave me it was in a baggie. I had to be like 14 years old.
Oh, he gave you like the prototype?
No, he sold it in a baggie. It came in as like a Ziploc bag and it had like a little orange piece of paper like on top of the powder itself. So when you opened up the bag.
That was the Ultimate Orange? Oh,
there was no label. It just had like a.
Right.
And he said, use 2 scoops before you train.
Right.
I've never haven't drank a cup of coffee yet or taken
Ziegler's Diana. You would have loved it now. You would have said, give me some of that now. Yeah.
I can remember to this day doing chin-ups like
you used it?
Yeah, it was like nothing. Like if I could do like 10 to 12 chin-ups, I'd do like 30.
It's like a drug deal. The first one's free. Here you go, Chris. Did you go back and buy it more from him?
I can remember the first back workout. It's probably the best back workout in history because it was so amped up.
Right. And you like to train a lot of volume too. You probably were able to go forever, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, on Ultimate Orange.
Did you continue buying it from him or
no? But he told me like the next week. He said, "Dave, you can't make this stuff up." He said, "You need Dianabol." I'm like 14.
Oh really?
Dianabol. Oh yeah.
I bet he had that too if you needed it, right?
Yeah. Years later, I'd go out to see Dan in 87 or something. I needed a place to stay. I had nowhere to stay after the bodybuilding camp, and I had to go like back to college, and I had like a week.
Right.
And I ran into him at Gold's, and he said, "Stay at my place."
Oh my God, you would have had a ball there.
I did. I did stay there.
Oh really? And what happened?
It was bodybuilding heaven. He had, you would have loved it, Dave. He had was
that when Romano lived with him or no?
No.
Oh.
Romano was nowhere to be found in 87.
Probably was in jail, yeah.
He had like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-level place, like 1 block back from the beach, which right off the bat was.
Oh, was that when he was selling big time?
Oh, no, he had already been busted.
Oh, and he still had a nice place like that?
Oh, yeah. And he had a fridge. I'd never seen a fridge like that. And he had those weird bikes in the garage, the lie-down bikes, prototypes.
Oh, yeah. John said he was into those bikes. Yeah, I think he built them or something like that.
And he had a library with everything from like the PDR to books on philosophy to religion. I mean, he was a weirdo, right? The scope of what he read, I was like the first time I thought
he was a smart, intelligent guy, very intelligent.
Yeah. And he had like the only thing in the fridge was chicken breast and water, I remember, and lettuce, because he had a couple girl bodybuilders staying there, and he believed in no carbs.
Oh, starving them to death, yeah. Which worked, yeah. He trained a lot of women bodybuilders. I remember that. Yeah.
And then he had like a motorcycle, but it didn't have shifts, and it was like a scooter, but they were like super high end.
Oh, really?
And he gave me the scooter to use while I was there, and he gave
you actually used it.
Yeah, and he gave me spending money every day.
Did he really? He said, "Here, Chris, like $20."
I think he gave me like 20 or $25, and he told me exactly where he said, "I want you to go." The first place he sent me was on Montana, and he gave me the directions to go and eat lunch there. He said, "You'll love it."
Was he right?
And I did go. Oh yeah, it was incredible. It was like the Rose Cafe times like 50.
Wow.
And I stayed there in his spare bedroom.
You probably didn't want to leave after that.
No, I didn't want to leave.
An allowance, you know. He would have turned you into like another steroid dealer, guru, you know.
He wasn't home a lot, which was odd.
Yeah. That's funny.
And he was into, like, at the time, like, female bodybuilding, like, cycles from hell, you know, because he would tell me about them and it scared the hell out of me, you know.
John said he was into, like, he said, you know what, none of this Anavar Winchell, just take a quarter of an Anadrol. He used to give the girls. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, he give him way more than that.
Oh, really?
Come on. Give him.
I think he would experiment with them, right?
Yeah. And he would do another blast. And that was Dave. That was 87 or 88, and he was running around at the time. He loved Denise Rutkowski.
Oh,
I can remember all the names.
Yeah,
I can remember all the names. And then years later,
he helped her when she turned pro, right? I think.
Yes, he did. So he got out of the. I think something happened. He lost that place. And maybe like 3 years later, then Romano was in the picture because they were living together,
right?
Like behind Gold's, like in the not good section of Venice.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not a good section behind Gold's there.
No, but his old place had a deck, and you know it was the quintessential California.
Right.
You know, because you'd come out of his place and you'd look left and you'd look right and you'd see, like, you know, an artist.
Yeah, you're on the boardwalk, really, essentially. Yeah,
beautiful home next door with, you know, artists, and to the right.
I'm sure Ed was right there at his house, probably somewhere around there.
Ed's he was 2 blocks from the beach. Ed was directly on the beach.
Oh, okay. Oh, he wasn't on the beach. Okay, I got you. But those places that were not on the beach directly were still really cool. You could just walk to the beach. I mean, it's you're in another world.
He had a deck that you could see the beach.
Oh, wow. So you're in like another world over there. That place he probably was in is probably $5 million bucks now.
It's insane. Yeah, it's got to be. I would say that place is, because when I was out in California 3 years ago, I looked all around at stuff on the canal, which was stunning how much it costs.
I haven't seen the canals. I never got to see them. Are they cool? Are they like?
They're gross.
Oh, they are gross?
They're gross.
Really?
They have, you know, you look at in the MLS, it's like a $5 million house. You know, 5,000 square feet, $1,000 a square foot on a pond. It's like a pond. It's like a duck pond.
Oh, so there's no like flow to it. They're like
nothing.
Can you actually get out to the ocean from there or no?
No. You can't even see a fish in there. It's gross.
So why are they so expensive, those houses?
Who knows? Because it's Venice. Everything's expensive.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Crazy.
No.
Wow, that's a good story. I never heard that story that you live with.
Yeah, I just remembered. I'm taking the memory pills that you're taking.
Yeah, there you go.
I had the Lee Haney story.
Very good Lee Haney story.
I forgot.
Lee Haney. Okay, let's end the show with this. Do we agree that Lee Haney was his best in at that 91? Where he beat Yates?
First and last. He was best at his first. Ask him.
Okay.
He was best at his first, and he was best at his last, because he was probably hungry for the first one and scared for the last one.
Yeah. Now, would Haney he was only 33, I believe, when he won that last Olympia. He was pretty young still.
Insane.
How would that Lee Haney have done against, you know, Ronnie Coleman in 98?
They'd laugh at him. You know what they'd say?
What?
No glutes and hams.
Because those guys didn't have it back then, right? Although Haney had glutes. He had glutes for that year. 91. Yeah.
Yes, he did. He had everything.
Yeah.
And you know what Lee Haney always attributes it to?
What?
He said he nailed that carb load that year. He did. God only imagines where he came from or what he carved on.
Yeah. Sweet potato pie, you know.
I'm sure he didn't cut salt. I'm sure he didn't cut water. He probably didn't use diuretics. He just, you know. He
might have for that year, because I've never seen Haney so dry and hard. And you could see his face. His face had that chiseled look, which he never had before.
Yeah, there was a lot of excitement for that show because, one, he knew he was at his best. You should ask him. And when I say scared, I mean scared, but with composure. There's a difference between being scared.
He was the reigning champ, so I mean.
But when he came out, he knew he was in shape.
Yeah. And
I think, you know, I had not seen previous Olympias, but although he knew he was in shape, he had no problem. He dominated the other guys in terms of there was a point of
presentation
and almost intimidation.
Right.
You know, he came fighting for that contest.
Yeah. Did Haney, was he like a Cedric? Did he do his own diet or did he have anyone helping him?
I think he did his own diet. He got a lot of his knowledge from Fred. That's what he told me, from Fred Hatfield.
Hatfield, another Maine guy.
Well, it goes back to it's Forrest Gump, dude. It goes back, and Fred was a tenant, and his mom, well, actually his mother was, of my grandmother's, on Hammond Street in Portland, Maine for about 30 years. And she said he was a fat pig.
Yeah.
That's what my grandmother.
But he helped Lee Haney, so there you go.
Yeah, and so he taught Lee the basics of, and more than the basics of contest prep and dieting, and also of, he really instilled in Lee, without going into like the language, periodization.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like train heavy, don't train heavy, and also mixing it up.
Cycling training, yeah.
Yeah, and using like heavy, lower volume, 4 to 5 reps to build some foundational strength. And then once you get that foundational strength, sometimes move into like higher reps for a period and then come back.
Plus, Lee was a genetic freak on top of that. So probably, everything worked better on him anyway.
Well, Haney had the big tooth gap, and my dentist client said that's a prerequisite. He said
gap tooth, yeah.
Arnold and Lee Haney. I think Mike Quinn.
A couple of guys had that gap tooth, yeah.
Phil Heath.
Phil had it, yeah.
You know who had it too? Victor Richards.
Oh, he did? He did?
And my friend, who's a famous dentist, told me that it's documented. The gap tooth is associated with higher GH levels.
I believe it, because it makes your jaw grow, probably, yeah.
Google it. There's some medical description, and it's tied to higher GH. And if you've got low GH, you can get Dan Duchaine to, sell you real GH.
I had a lot of fun with this show. This is great. I think, guys, if you have any other bodybuilders you want us to kind of talk about, let us know. We're old guys, so we got to talk about old stuff, and that's how it goes. Lee Haney, man, 91 Lee Haney. Who could have beat him? Would Phil Heath have beat him?
I hate those hypotheticals.
I know, because until they stand next to each other, you can't tell.
Yeah, I mean, because not only
Haney had the height on him, though. I think Haney would have taken him out. I don't know if Haney would have beat 93 Dorian Yates. That would have been a tough one, but maybe. And I don't know if 99 or 98 Coleman would have beaten Haney in 91, but we could only guess. Haney had good stage presence. His waist was teeny tiny. I think these guys may have just outsized him a little bit. That's the only thing I could have, imagined. But Haney had a great back.
Too, you're only chasing who's standing next to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like this. It's like I talk about Jay beating Coleman. And I mean, if there was
Jay never would have gotten as big as he did if he didn't have to chase Coleman.
Period.
Yeah.
Period.
And
it took Roden another 25 pounds after he first got third at the Olympia to pass.
True.
Or to be able to like say, okay, he's big enough to win for sure.
Right.
Sure. I mean, it took him a few years. So if you're number one, Haney, year after year after year, it's hard to continue to really make jumps and anything because I mean, you're going against the itch. That's Rich. He had nicknames. He called what he called Lee Labrada?
What?
The Flea.
Oh, really? I'm sure Lee loved that. Lee the Flea. I'm sure he loved that. Yeah. They probably were cursing him under his breath,
Yeah. And you know who the only bad word, the only quasi bad word, and I know Lee will get mad. The only quasi bad word out of Lee's mouth in 40 years of being in the sport was when he talked about Sean Ray.
Oh, I wonder why, right? No. Why he didn't like Sean Ray?
Sean was talking, it might have been Lee. It was one of them. He had just had enough. I think it was Sean.
Yeah.
I will find out for sure because he did an interview for Modern Bodybuilding, Jason Mathis's Modern Bodybuilding.
Right.
Do you know what Modern Bodybuilding was?
I don't know. I don't remember that.
You know who Jason Mathis is?
I know Jason, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Jason Mathis. You want to talk about just bodybuilding fan like crazy. He's one of the biggest fans of all time. He's in love with bodybuilding. He's like 18 or 20. He comes out to Gold's in Venice, and he starts like a weekly newspaper.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. You're right. I remember that.
And it's called Modern Bodybuilding. And he would write it and print it and edit it. And he would, because he was in LA, he would take pictures, So he did an interview with, we were starved for bodybuilding. There was no internet, right? And you get the magazines. But Jason would be putting out a newspaper every week.
That's crazy, yeah.
And he did an interview with Lee Haney. And Lee said about either Lee or Sean, I'm going to cut their nuts off. And
oh, really? Well, Sean probably was trying to fuck with him, psychologically. Because Sean did a very good job of that, with a lot of competitors. And so Lee probably didn't like. Lee probably wanted to be respected as Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
And I'm sure Sean wasn't. He was the brash young guy coming up and wanted to knock out Haney.
The old man. Well, how old was Haney, for God's sakes?
He couldn't have been that much older than
Sean always likes to say he's the youngest. So if Lee was 33 when he retired, back up 9 years when he started at the Olympias, 24.
Yeah,
23.
There probably was a 5-year gap between those two. Probably, I would say. Which I guess at that time probably was a lot because guys were really young when they were competing back then. Nowadays, guys are in their 40s, competing. It's different times.
Yeah. Yeah, people are very young. I mean, look at Gaspari competing against them.
We got to talk. Yeah, I hear next month Al Beckles is going to be 90. So
that's crazy.
We got to talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about him next week.
You ever try to get him on the show?
I'm gonna reach out to him. I don't know if he's still doing interviews and stuff like that, but I'll reach out to him. But I think we should just talk about him anyway because he had a pretty cool career as well and had some good stories. But for now, we're gonna wrap it up until next week. As we always say, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Good night, everyone. We'll see you next week.